Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report Express PWR Q&A, Thursday, September 10th, 2009. Damian Nelson sitting alongside the man they call Meathead.
You know, I remember that fateful day where Damian said, you know, the producers saw it, and you stumbled into the studio, and apparently they liked it.
Somehow or another, for
and
some reason. We've had a bit of a staffing turnaround, so maybe we'll put it in front
There's
of
one
the
constant on this. As much as I don't like you and you don't like me, this is good TV.
Gareth Lloyd sends our first email of the day. And remember, you can send those emails to us at comments@pwrshow.com. And most, if not all of them, do make air on one of our various Express Q&A
That's where the extra
episodes.
Q&As are coming from, to be honest with you.
Garrett says, you were talking about heels on this past week's radio show, specifically Randy Orton, Roddy Piper, and one person I thought worth mentioning was Triple H as a heel around 1999 through 2001. In my eyes, he was hated more than Orton is today and seemed more believable. I think Orton tries too hard and does not come off as well.
I think the issue with Triple H circa 99 was we already knew that he was diddling the boss's daughter. Even though he was played up on screen, it was in real life, and a lot of us knew that. So Triple H had what Damian likes to refer to as hate heat. The Jeff Jarrett-style hate heat, the Xbox-style hate heat, where we just hated the guy because he was consistently on TV over and 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 over.
I don't think there's a comparison to Triple H
Thank you for saying something.
as a heel to Randy Orton as a heel. I think Orton's much better.
Their character
Orton's just, it's so easy to hate a man whose character is such a prick as Randy Orton's is. I mean, he's just very good at...
Triple H's was cocky, more so than anything else.
Thank you very much for that email. Next email comes from Rob Palmer, who says, I've been giving some thoughts to the comments given by Rey Mysterio to the Mexican press regarding his recent wellness policy violation and the aftermath. If WWE wished to prevent such a situation in the future, they need to do either one of the following things. Prevent superstars giving press interviews altogether, or hand the interviewer a list of appropriate questions to be asked.
We wouldn't want to do that to interviewers. Oh, man, the hate mail that would come after that.
Well, and remember, that you can't, if you're a contracted talent to World Wrestling Entertainment, you can't speak to a media source without the office approving it, similar to what TNA does. I mean, they do have to control that message. Ray didn't get approval to do that interview.
No, that's what
Ray
that's
got
where
heat
the heat
for
came.
doing that interview.
That's where the heat came from.
And
By the way,
do those things already that you are suggesting. In
the
that
emailer's name was Rob Palmer?
It was.
Is that guy addicted to love?
Might as well face it. Josh sends this in. I was just wondering if I'm the only one crazy enough to think that WWE should bring in Steve Carrel as guest host.
No, that's not crazy. That'd
That's
be
a brilliant
hilarious.
idea.
That'd be hilarious.
It fits perfectly, I think.
But which character do you think he plays? Because he's not going to be Steve Carell. Does he play Michael Scott?
I think he's got to be Michael Scott, yeah.
Does he play?
I mean, it's NBC, it's Universal, it's all
tied in.
thing.
It's all.
What's he
going
to push? You saw Bob Barker obviously pushing his book.
And that's
Money on Raw.
maybe he's
Whatever,
pushing the
that's
Office.
fine.
Office
Why
debuts,
not?
season debut in a couple weeks.
I hadn't thought about that, but
Get Carell.
that's a great suggestion there, Josh.
He's already worked with a wrestler type guy named The Rock.
Next email comes from Arnie from Miami, Florida, who says, and actually this was a miss on our part. We never really answered his question about WWE being PG-13 last week on one of the editions of PWR Express. But basically, should they continue this PG-13 marketing strategy?
Unfortunately, you're going to hate the answer, but it's yes.
Here's my answer. I think that they can't market all of WWE as one thing, in my opinion. Raw, SmackDown, ECW Superstars, they've got all these different vehicles that they can market. ECW, I think they're doing the right thing with it, but I think they can take that and give it a little bit of an edge. Do something more unique or something that you don't see on the other programs with it, and then we're sort of getting thrown back to the days of Extreme, but be that as it may, keep your kiddie programming. That's fine. Keep your PG-13 rating where John Cena is, where Rey Mysterio is. Put your talent in the places where that's going to work. I think it would take a broad reapproach to the way they have their talent distributed and the way they produce their shows in order to make that work. But I think to give the full ranging product that they, as the WWE, can do, I think they need to look at each show a little bit differently and do something a little bit differently with each of those shows.
As much as you, and I say you not as in you, the emailer, whose name was again?
The name was Arnie from Miami,
Arnie.
Florida.
It's not you, Arnie, as much as I'm talking about everyone. You know, we hear the complaints. Attitude Era, blah, blah, blah. PG-13 crap, blah, blah, blah. You still watch.
Well,
They've
not
still
as
got
many
you.
as they did during the Attitude Era, though.
They still got you hooked.
Not as many.
And you know what?
But you can expand that
They're
audience.
building a new audience.
That's great. That's fine. They can do so on the Raws and SmackDowns of the world, but and there's been talk of it launching their own network or even another show. They take one of those
No
shows.
more shows.
Take ECW, rather.
No more shows.
Take ECW, make it TV-14, do some things on there that you don't see on the other programs. Now, the problem is, under the WWE umbrella, that still can be used against them
And
as
that's
part of
why
that
it
whole
won't
marketing
happen.
the children
That's
thing.
why it won't happen.
It probably won't, but again, I
When
think
you have
there's an
Linda
opportunity there.
McMahon potentially running for a government office,
Oh, well,
potentially.
yeah, he's actually a viable contender.
I said
as Jerry
Linda.
Lawler.
I said Linda. When you have Linda McMahon, listen to the product here, running potentially for an office, she's on a school board already. You can't do it.
I'm not sure if she's officially run.
But
Jerry
she's already
Lawler
on
is
the
officially running
Connecticut.
for mayor
She's
of-
already on the Connecticut school board, and Jerry Lawler can separate himself. That's not a problem. He just calls the matches. That's it.
Next email comes from Matt Sharp. I was thinking to myself about the new Intercontinental title situation. If I remember rightly, the Austin Rock feud started over the IC belt. They threw it into the Detroit River. Remember that?
Yep.
Uh,
Lita
do
and
you-
Edge tried to do that too.
Do you think we could be witnessing the reincarnation of that with Morrison Ziggler, with it one day being for the world title? That email from Matt Sharp.
Only to dream. You know, these guys got to have a good another 5 years for it to really, you know, us to look back and say, wow, that's where it started.
Garrett sent this email in, which asked the question, what was your opinion on the match for the IC title on Friday? I'm a big Ray fan and always has been. I think that match could very well be match of the year.
MOTY? That's what the internet does. They don't type match of the year.
Garrett, we talked about that. We'll talk about that rather on this week's edition of Primetime. It was an excellent match. It was one of the best efforts of WWE in a very long time, if not all year. And I think when you look at a couple matches that
I don't
have
think it was
happened,
WWE that made the effort. I think it was the talent.
well, I
that
mean,
really,
they
I
allowed it to
really
happen.
think the talent put in the effort.
Of course, well, they allowed it to happen. I'm
I
saying when you're
understand.
looking
I
at two
understand.
matches in WWE that might be considered match of the year worthy at this point, obviously that's Taker, HBK from WrestleMania, and also Rey Mysterio, John Morrison from SmackDown. Alexis sends this in.
It's a lady.
I know it's still early and all, but what all can come of this Angelina Love situation? Because, I mean, it is her career in the United States we're talking about here. This isn't just, oh, she needs to update her visa. This is possibly her getting kicked out for 10 years and not having a visa to work for 2 years, and she isn't getting any younger.
No, and the face isn't getting any better either.
I hope this Angelina Love situation gets resolved sooner than later. I hope TNA can go ahead and make this deal happen before the pay-per-view so they can continue seamlessly. But knowing a little bit about visas and depending on which kind she had, whether it be an H-2B visa, a J-1
You got to
visa,
break that down
or-
for them.
and there's just so many, if you know, you know, but there are so many different types of visas out there.
Are we
that
talking working only visas? Are we talking temporary residence?
There's
I
of
mean-
those varieties. You can have a J1 internship visa, you can have a J1 work visa, you can have a J1
What
travel
kind are you
visa.
on?
I'm not on a visa at all.
Oh, you're
It is
American
everywhere.
made?
I am everywhere everybody wants to be, though. But be that as it may, depending on what the nature of that situation is, specifically pertaining to what they can get resolved with this visa situation, either there's going to be some stiff penalties, or they're going to get it resolved.
Who covers the cost?
The cost can be tremendous, and the company can cover it, or the individual can cover it.
No, I
in
understand
cases,
that
the
it's
company
gonna
is
be
required
one-
to cover it.
Why would the company be required if she's responsible for herself?
If you're bringing a person in from a different country to work for you, the company
But
is
she
asked
came
to
to
cover
the
those.
she came to the company to work
Correct.
while on this working visa.
She wasn't on a visa when she started with TNA. That's the problem.
She was supposed to be.
Correct.
Okay, so it was her fault to start with.
Correct.
So technically, it should probably be her paying for it.
Yeah, but again, we're getting too deep into this, but if you are bringing employees to work for you on a visa, the company a lot of
So you're
times
saying
has
the
to
guys
pay
that
for those
actually
visas.
put on the costume as Mickey Mouse, when they get those in there?
I would imagine so.
Okay, I was just wondering, because
I
you
would
know a lot
imagine
about
so.
the Mickey Mouse thing.
More Donald Duck than Mickey Mouse. But this comes from Deshaun, who says, "I just wanted to know why are all the WWE talent leaving WWE?"
I don't think we got enough time on Express to go through that. And it's a case-by-case basis.
Our final email of the day is from Ahmed Butt, who says, "I would love to hear you guys go in depth on CM Punk." Well, Ahmed, all you need to do is send us a tweet. You can via Twitter and suggest to
You
us
can
who
also
you
pay
want.
attention to tomorrow night's Primetime.
We'll announce which Twitter winner did win that contest to send in who we should talk about in-depthly. So, thank you very much for that. Also, thank you for tuning in to the Pro Wrestling Report Express for Thursday, September 10th, 2009. We'll be back with a brand new edition of PWR Primetime tomorrow night, right here on this very program, this very channel. And be sure to tune in for that. So, for the man they call me Dad, the Kaz, and Dave Earl, this is Damian Nelson saying thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow for PWR Primetime.